Now, as we follow the impact from Senator Feinstein's passing, we want to bring in Professor Isaac Hale.
Yeah, he's a political science professor at Occidental College in Los Angeles. Thank you so much for your time. When we talk about trailblazers, there really was no better example than Senator Feinstein.
Absolutely. I mean, she had quite the career. She was the mayor of San Francisco from 1978 through 1988, ascending to the office after the assassinations of Mayor George Moscone and Supervisor Harvey Milk, the senator from California since 1992, and perhaps best known for authoring the 1994 federal assault weapons ban and for being an outspoken advocate on women's rights, the environment, and reproductive choice.
And Professor Hale, we know that you have been following just the lead up to her passing, and it's been no secret her health has been in somewhat of a weakened state over the last several months. Can you talk about how the fact that she passed today means that people perhaps were ready for what may need to happen here? Can you talk about what, say, Governor Newsom now needs to do in the wake of her passing?
Right. So just like when Kamala Harris left her Senate post to become vice president, in California, when there's a vacancy in the Senate, the governor fills that seat. Alex Padilla who we just heard from, filled Kamala Harris's seat. And there are a whole number of potential people who could fill Senator Feinstein's seat. Now, Governor Newsom has indicated that he plans to nominate an African-American woman to fill the seat. And he also indicated on a recent Meet the Press interview that he does not want to pick someone who is likely to run for re-election again in 2024. And so that probably rules out Congresswoman Barbara Lee, who is running for the seat in 2024.
Professor, so when it comes to filling that seat, is there a timeline that needs to happen? I mean, obviously there's a lot of bills and a lot of discussion going on right now in D.C., especially regarding the passing of funding the government at this point.
So as soon as possible is the answer. And it's most important actually for figuring out who is going to sit on Senator Feinstein's seat on the Senate Judiciary Committee. There were holdups earlier this year when Senator Dianne Feinstein was absent due to health reasons that caused a whole number of President Biden's judicial nominees to get held up for weeks and weeks. But considering that Senator Feinstein has passed away, I would expect that Democrats will be able to place one of the current members of the U.S. Senate Democratic Caucus onto the Judiciary Committee and keep those things moving. With regards to the government shutdown that is we're on the precipice of, funding runs out Sunday at midnight, Senator Dianne Feinstein's vote was not expected to be pivotal in that regard, given that it's broad bipartisan legislation on the Senate side of the aisle.
And with so much at play here, what is the sort of waiting period? We know there is somewhat of a mourning period, respecting her legacy and respecting the fact that this is a person who, we need to have mourned the people, her colleagues, her friends will mourn her, but then there's also a lot that has to be done politically speaking. So the timing of all of this is critical. How long do you think it will be before we have some of these pivotal decisions made?
I would expect that we'll have a period of mourning for a few days, perhaps. But again, this is the Democratic majority in the U.S. Senate is quite narrow, and this is not an issue that Governor Newsom can wait on for very long. So I expect you are going to already today and this weekend hear lots of names flying around, and I would expect to have a replacement named in the coming weeks.
Professor Hale, we really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you so much for your insight.